Hey there, you're watching Mirae Asset Sharekhan's weekly commodity forecast with me, Anuj Choudhary. I'll be breaking down what's driving commodities this week and what it means for prices ahead. Stay tuned till the end for crucial support and resistance figures for gold and aluminium. Macroeconomic headlines. Let's begin with the key macro developments this week. US Iran talks have broken down, with differences persisting on major issues including control of the Strait of Hormuz, uranium enrichment, reparations, and regional influence. After the failure of the weekend talks in Islamabad, the US has threatened a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, sharply escalating tensions. Crude oil prices surged nearly 8% as markets priced in severe supply risks from a potential disruption to this critical shipping route. Iran has termed the proposed US shipping restrictions illegal and has threatened ports across the Persian Gulf. While the US Iran Israel ceasefire is holding, Israel Hezbollah clashes continue, keeping regional risks elevated. On the macro front, China's credit expansion slowed more than expected in March, reflecting weak household and business demand. Aggregate financing rose 5.2 trillion yuan below market expectations. The US CPI inflation report for March surprised sharply on the upside, with headline inflation rising 3.3% year on year, driven primarily by surging gasoline prices. US consumer sentiment fell to a record low in April as inflation worries intensified and short term inflation expectations surged. Commodity focus. Gold. Gold prices are under pressure as oil prices rally and bond yields rise. US dollar index at 98.98, up by 0.35% as risk appetite wanes on failure of US Iran talks. US yields rise on inflation concerns as crude oil rallies. Total known global gold ETFs holdings up at 98.69 million ounce, up by 0.8% from the cycle low of 97.89 reached on March 31st, but down by 2.25% since the Iran war broke out on February 28. Turkey sold nearly 128 tons of gold in the last 3 weeks to support lira. Other central banks may also sell swap as firmer dollar tightens liquidity and rising oil weighs on currencies, inflates oil import bills of badly affected countries. US Iran agreeing to another round of talks can boost gold prices. Gold posted gains for the third consecutive week, touching its highest level since mid March. It opened last week at 1,48,847 and slipped to a low of 1,48,298 early in the week. Prices later rallied to a high of 1,54,934 before closing 1.99% higher at 1,52,652. Gold has opened the current week lower and is trading near its 40-day moving average. A decisive break below this level could trigger fresh selling pressure. The RSI is falling with a scope of negative crossover. We expect gold to trade with a negative bias in the medium term. Support is seen at 1,44,300, followed by strong support at 1,40,200. Resistance stands at 1,53,550, with strong resistance at 1,57,600. A sustained close above this zone will signal a trend reversal. Overall, the price indicator remains bearish. Commodity focus. Aluminium. The light metal can rise on supply concerns emanating from the Middle East. The Middle East accounts for about 9% of global aluminium output, and Emirates Global Aluminium PJSC has invoked force majeure clauses on at least some deliveries as one of its smelters was put out of production by an Iranian attack earlier this month. LME cash to 3-month spread in a deep backwardation of $75 as the spread hovering around the tightest level since 2007. Strait of Hormuz closure may affect aluminium supply as the Middle East is heavily dependent on the waterway to export aluminium and import the raw materials needed to produce the metal. Input cost is rising as energy prices jump. Aluminium opened last week at 355.45 and dipped to 349.20 early on. It touched a high of 358.95 and closed the week 0.95% higher at 357.70. Prices remain above the 20-day moving average, indicating strength. The RSI is rising, though it remains in the overbought zone. We expect aluminium to retain a positive bias in the medium term. The break above its previous all-time high has triggered fresh buying momentum. Initial resistance is seen at 381.80 with strong resistance at 391.50. Support is placed at 358 followed by strong support near 349. A sustained break below this zone could lead to a trend reversal. The price indicator remains bullish. Weekly price action. Gold fell 4.43% week on week. Silver fell 8.14% week on week. The gold silver ratio rose by 4.04%. Base metals on the whole fared well except for lead and zinc. Weekly event calendar. This week, the markets will track new yuan loans, weekly employment change, China GDP year on year, industrial production. These data points will shape expectations which directly impact base metals and other commodities. That's your weekly commodity forecast from Mirae Asset Sharekhan. To help you keep track of more promising market developments, all our research offerings are now available in one portal, the Mirae Asset Sharekhan Research Center. Explore research calls and detailed research reports across equity, mutual funds, F&O, commodities, ETFs, and more. Visit research.sharekhan.com to kickstart your wealth creation journey backed by our research experts. You can also click on the link given in the description to access the same. Thank you for watching.
Investment in securities market is subject to market risk. Read all related documents carefully before investing.